Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the 2025 Alabama Junior Beef Expo Breeding Heifer Show. We're excited to be here today. Starting the class with our lot class number 1, AOB Continentals. We have one entry in this class, a November 2023 heifer owned by Brooks Enfinger from Dale County.
Stout featured bull-bodied one out here that the young man's doing a nice job getting presented. Maybe in a perfect world, we'd just like to loosen her up in terms of her structure and build, but man, really need to appreciate that one for added performance, bulk, and mass. Congratulations to this young man on a high-quality single entry out here.
Class 1, Brooks Enfinger.
We're now ready for Class 2. Class 2 has 4 entries scheduled for one between August and September 2023.
If it's all right with you guys, so we don't have to stack them up and then take all that time, if we just want to go ahead and pull them for a full loop and head to tail right here.
And Olivia Maddox from the cow.
Our judge this morning who was turned up yesterday is Mr. Greg Denton from Madison, Georgia. Greg Denton College at Black Hawk East and Western Illinois University, where he's a judging team member at both institutions. Since the spring of 2018, Greg has managed this farm a urban seed stock operation that emphasizes cow functionality and high yield while simultaneously working to develop and capture harvest breedings. Welcome back, Greg. Looking forward to a good day.
I tell you what a great way to start off here in our second class of the day. Pair of cattle to surface that offer tremendous quality. Obviously, there's some differences in terms of where they're at this stage of their maturity in terms of bulk and mass. Folks, this one that's going to win the class, I think, is her body shape, the stoutness and softness to her hind leg, one that's long and level hipped and still looks like a female up front. You know, if you were to get picky on that one, I'd like to just square her up in her front toe and relax her in her knee just ever so slightly. But man, that's getting awful picky on a really, really high quality one. I love the type and kind of cattle that's out here in the second. You want to talk about elegant, feminine-made cattle that are presented just so genuine in terms of her condition. That one's spot on in terms of her lower body shape. Love how she transitions from her sternum back to her midrib and flank there. So loose and soft in terms of her structure and build. In relation to an extremely impressive class winner. Like to see her come with just a shot more bulk and mass. Like to just stout her up in terms of her foundation, but extremely good kind of cattle. The biggest question mark and debate for me comes between the remaining two, and for me, the one that's going to come out in third is just a little bit more my kind in terms of her moderation, body shape, and looseness of structure. That one hinges looser, more flexible and comfortable out of her hip and hind leg, super soft in terms of her body shape, more angular in terms of her shoulder blade, gets out that massed and out-powered in relation to those top two, but I just like her functional kind better than the one in fourth. The one in fourth, no doubt, has the upper hand in terms of bulk, power, and mass, super opened up in terms of the upper part of her body, stout-hipped and really square-pinned, stout in terms of her foundation. For me, I just need to fix her in terms of her structure. I'd like to relax her in terms of her angles off either end, see her get out and go with just a shot more comfort and flexibility, but a really nice group of 4 cattle to come out of the second class of the day.
Placing fourth in class 2, Brady Adams. Third, Olivia Maddox. Second, Olivia Maddox. And first, Orlando Frank. We're ready for our AOB Continental Division. We need for class 1, Brooks and Victor, Dale County. And for class 2, Orlando Frank, from Blunt County.
Tremendous way to start off with the first division of the day, and compliment the young man's single entry in terms of her upper body shape, power, and mass. But I tell you what, folks, the pair of cattle that come out of the second class are extremely high quality, a little different in terms of the bulk they offer. The 2 cattle that are just tremendous, their structure, femininity, look, and balance. They'll be our champion in reserve out here today.
An AOB Continental belongs to Laura Landers Franklin of Blunt County, and the reserve Olivia Maddox from DeKalb. We're now ready for class 4. We have 2 Charolais entries born in January and February of 2024. We need Jael Downey and Owen Downey's entries.
Brings us out a high-quality single-entry Charolais female, one that looks like a female should, up through her front end and head and neck. She's relaxed in terms of her shoulder blade. From there back, long spine cattle that's presented genuine in her condition today, one that's got structure and flexibility. In a perfect world, I'd like to see her pull her lines together with just a shot more look and balance, but still really high-quality, functional cattle. Certainly congratulate this young man for bringing a really nice one to town this weekend. Good job, buddy.
First, in class 4, Owen Downey. We're ready for class 5. We have 3 entries. Efforts 27
A trio of Charolais females that come out here, and they certainly put up some debate and discussion because I think all three cattle are high quality in their own right. They just come in different shapes and sizes. The young lady that's going to win, in my opinion, is the most relaxed in the angle to her shoulder blade and knee. She is the boldest and most robust in terms of her upper body shape. She is the stoutest out of her hip and the squarest at her pin set. In my opinion, she matches that at her foundation with the stoutest feature and hind leg. In a perfect world, I'd like to just clean her up there at the crest of her neck just ever so slightly, give her just a shot more sweep there to her lower body, but a really high quality female to win the class. And that's where the heifer in second, in my opinion, has the advantage. I do believe that that one is more feminine in the shape to her skull. I think she's a really long-bodied cattle that has that added sweep there through her midrib and flank. In my opinion, she's a shot more vertical in the angle to her shoulder blade, and as a result, she'll tie her neck in a shot deeper out of the top side of her blade there. I'd like to just power her up in terms of her top side shape in relation to our class winner, and just relax her in terms of her angles and stouten her up in terms of her feature. But you want to talk about a high-performance, long-sided cattle with some depth of body, she's sure got it. One that's sure going to make a nice cow for the young lady. One coming out in third, certainly a more moderate option than the initial pair, and I do like that about her. I like her in terms of her body shape. One that for me just comes off a shot coarser in terms of her overall design. She was the straightest in terms of her angles off either end. I'd like to make her a shot more feminine and see her come with more look and balance, but moderation, body shape, and general functionality is certainly in her favor. Really nice trio of Charolais females out here in our second class.
Placing third in Class 5, Caitlin Horn. Second, Lily Downey. First, Eliza Downey. Congratulations, ladies. And now we have Class 6. We have 2 entries, 2 heifers born April of 2023. We need those entries from MJ Flowers from Pike County and Sophia Slusser from Coleman County.
Country Charolais female out here that could handle a ton of competition. You want to talk about performance cattle that are incredible in the shape to her rib, so stout out through her hip and pin set there. One that's still extra flexible in terms of how she utilizes her hock joint and sets down from behind. I think that one moves with enough comfort and flexibility out of the front end of her structure, and that just allows her to pull herself together with a tremendous amount of look and balance. Perfect world, I'd like to freshen her up in terms of her condition just ever so slightly, but I think she still looks like a female out here. Love that one's general doability and just structure and flexibility. Really high quality cattle. Look forward to seeing how she stacks up out here in our final lineup of Charolais.
Congratulations to MJ Flowers. We're ready for Class 7. Class 7 is our final Charolais class of the day. We need that entry from Blake Mitchell, a heifer born January of 2023. Blake is from Elmore County. This will also be your champion bred and owned Charolais heifer.
Tell you what, folks, this is the side of the industry that really gets me fired up. High quality beef cow that's brought out here to us. So smooth and feminine in terms of how she's put together up front. Soft bodied and just right in terms of her lower rib shape. I really like this one's udder levelness and development. She's short teated. In a perfect world, I'd like to just refine them in terms of their size just ever so slightly. Certainly don't think it's an issue. That thing's long, level hipped, really good hind legged. Maybe in relation to another one we've seen out here in the Charolais division, you would like to power her up a little bit. But man, she's got a nice calf nursing on her. Really interesting female. Look forward to seeing how she comes back out here in our final Charolais drive.
Congratulations, Blake. We're now ready for the Charolais drive. We need those entries from Owen Downey from Class 4. From Class 5, Eliza Downey, and from Class 6, MJ Flowers. Class 7, Blake Mitchell.
Tremendous lineup of Charolais females out here, and I don't want to take anything away from the two young people up front, cattle in terms of their length of body, in terms of their structure, certainly cattle that have quality, but I think when it gets down to selecting a champion in reserve, it's between the cattle out of the third and fourth classes. The heifer out of the third class, there's no doubt. You look at her within this lineup, and she has the upper hand in terms of skeletal width, bulk, and mass. That's the widest chested cattle out here, and it allows her to open up the boldest in terms of her upper body shape. Extra stout out through her hip. I like that one's running gear in terms of her comfort level and her flexibility out here today. Talked about her in class. In a perfect world, the deeper shouldered female is just pushing a touch more condition than I'd like to deem ideal out here. She will roll in just ever so slightly in terms of her front end structure. But those are small trees in a big forest, and one that big picture is really good in terms of her substance, bulk, and flexibility. This one out of the fourth class, it's kind of tough because we know a little bit more about her and the kind of mother cow that she's make. Talked about her just length of body and elegance. That one is more correct in the angle to her shoulder and her knee. She's obviously fresher in terms of her condition, but I love the feminine shape to that one's skull and the top side of her neck. From there, just so soft in terms of her lower body shape, long and level out through her hip, like her udder design, like the job she's doing raising that nice calf. You step in front of the cattle and you watch them going right away from you. In relation to the one just ahead of her, I'd like to open her up in terms of her chest floor. I think that would allow her to just open up more genuine in terms of the boldness to her upper skeleton. I'd like to just see her come with a shot more strength there to her pin set. I think you get to weigh in the checks and balances, and there's one cattle out here that just comes with a shot more to her, in my opinion. The young out of the third class will be our champion Charolais. One out of the fourth will be our reserve.
Nice job.
Our champion
nice job. Good
Charolais belongs to MJ Flowers from Pike County, and our reserve comes out of Class 7, Blake Mitchell from Elmore. Congratulations. We're ready for Class number 8. Class number 8, we have one entry. This is Laura Landers Franklin, Kiania heifer from Blount County. This division is sponsored by Lakeview Farms. Judge, this will be a single entry as well as your breed champion. So while the judge is making his decision here in this class, I wanted to make sure to promote the website where all these shows are being live streamed today, juniorlivestockexpo.com, jrlivestockexpo.com. This is where your friends and family back home can watch and see all the excitement happening in the ring today.
Single entry out here that on the stand you can like a whole lot of things about. That's a high performance cattle that's got some length of body. She's feminine in terms of the shape to her skull and the top side of her neck, proportional when you relate her to her feature at the ground in terms of how.
Congratulations. That's our breed champion Kiania. Congrats to Laura Landers Franklin. We're now ready for Class 9. Class 9 are maintainer heifers born between September and November 2023. We need those entries from John Matthew Carnley from Coffee County, Evan Roden from Coleman County, and Holly Kate Dubose from Pike County.
Class of Shorthorn Pluses out here with just tremendous variation in terms of type and kind. For me, the young man's heifer that's going to win, she has the upper hand in most all columns. That's long-bodied, high-performance cattle. That's extra bold in terms of the top side of her skeleton. She's long and level out of her hip and matches it at the ground in terms of being stout at her foundation. Maybe in a perfect world, I'd like to just relax her in her shoulder blade. She'll get just a shot more hesitant in terms of how she gets out and goes up front, but really high quality cattle that's still loose in terms of her foundation from behind, great in her body shape, great in terms of her feminine look. Now, if you like them extra moderate, bold and stout, the young man's heifer in second brings a lot of good things to the table. That one's just so opened up there in terms of the top side of her rib cage, so stout out through her hip and pin set, extra substance and mass when you study her at her foundation, and on the stand can give you a nice look of quality in terms of her silhouette. In relation to an impressive class winner, I'd like to make her a shot more feminine there in the shape to her skull. I'd like to lengthen her out and the length to her spine and hip and just relax her there in the set to her hind leg, and I think that would allow her to hold her top line with a shot more comfort and consistency when the young man asked her to lead. Young lady's heifer that's going to round out the class. I like this one's kind in terms of her length of body, in terms of the set to her hind leg. In relation to those two cattle just ahead of her, she needs to come with a shot more look and balance. I'd like to relax her in the angle to her shoulder and soften her up in terms of her lower body shape.
Placing third in Class 9, Holly Kate DeBose. Second, John Matthew Carnley, and in first, Evan Roden. We're ready for Class 10. We have 2 entries. Heifers born between April and May of 2023. We need those entries from Savannah Richards of Randolph County and Jemias Williams from Pike.
Maintainer females out here in our next class, and they're certainly different in terms of their type and kind. The young lady's female that's going to win the class, I just like her a shot better in terms of her structure. I think she's more relaxed in terms of her shoulder blade. That allows her to maintain her spine with more symmetry and consistency on the go. The stouter featured female just offers a shot more rib and body and general doability in relation to her more moderate stature. You know, the young man's heifer that's going to be second, she's got the advantage in terms of length of body. I think that one's more feminine in terms of her skull shape than the heifer that wins the class. I'd just like to soften her up in terms of her rib cage. The stiltier fronted female will get a shot more uncomfortable in terms of how she sets out up front. I'd like to just relax her in her spine when she gets out on the go. But young man gets that one pulled together here on the profile. That's a long-bodied one that's really feminine in terms of her look up front. Just like to see her get out and go a shot better. Congratulations on those two young people on a nice pair of heifers.
Congratulations. In second, Jemias Williams from Pike County, and in first, Savannah Richards from Randolph. In the ring now, we have class number 11, Cabry Kellenbrink from Elmore County. This is single entry, heifer born February of 2023. Following this class, we'll have our division champion and reserve maintainers. Placing first in Class 11, Cabri Kellenbrink. We're ready for our maintainer division. From Class number 9, we have Evan Roden. From Class 10, Savannah Richards. And from Class 3rd, Cabri Kellenbrink. Robert Richards, if you're here, we'd ask you to come to the announcer stand. Robert Richards.
We get these 3 class winners out here, and like many composite breeds, there's some variation in terms of type and kind. The young man's heifer out of the first class certainly overwhelms her contemporaries in terms of her look and balance. That's long-bodied, bold-ribbed cattle that's extra extended out through her hip and pin set there. She's stout in terms of her running gear down low. Talked about her in class in a perfect world. To set her back in terms of her knee and shoulder blade just ever so slightly, but I think that's just a really small tree in a big forest. Congratulations to that young man. He'll have our champion maintainer. We'll go ahead and bring that second place on in.
Our champion maintainer belongs to Evan Roden. From Class number 9, we need that entry from John Matthew Carnley to make his way into the ring.
I do believe it's between the cattle on either end of the arena here, and they are different in terms of their type and kind. The heifer that was second to our champion, just great in terms of her moderation and density, extra stout featured, wide skeleton kind of cattle that still brings herself together with some look and balance in relation to that one out of the third class. I prefer where she's at in terms of her depth of rib. Young lady's heifer out of the third class certainly has the upper hand in terms of length of body, length of front end, and femininity of her skull shape. Talked about her at this stage in her maturity and her gestation. I would like to see her come with just a shot more sweep there to her rib. I'd like to see her carry herself with just a shot more comfort and consistency. I think that when we really break it down and evaluate these cattle in terms of their structure, build, and comfort level out here today, the young man's second place out of the first class will be our reserve out here in our maintainer.
Our reserve champion maintainer comes from Class 9. Congratulations, John Matthew Carnley. That concludes our maintainer show for today. Congratulations to all the maintainer exhibitors. We're ready for our percent Simmental division. In the ring now, we have Class 12 percent Simmental heifers. We have 4 entries. Heifers born between April and May of 2024. We have entries from Collins Cofield from Randolph County, Zaylor Gordy from Randolph County, Laura Landers Franklin from Blunt, and Caleb Cook from Autauga.
What a tremendous pair out here in our percent Simmentals, and I'll be honest, we could sort through a dozen of them, and these two are going to find their way to the top side of most any contemporary group. When it gets close like this, I'm always going to side on the side of structure and build, and the young lady's heifer that wins the class has the upper hand in terms of her basic build and structure. She's more relaxed in terms of her shoulder blade and her knee. As a result, she carries her top line with more consistency, especially her loin when the young lady gets out and asks her to lead. I think she's a shot smoother in terms of how her tailhead sets down there in between her pins. I think her hock joint motors with more athleticism and utility there. One that's extra just fresh and genuine in terms of how she's presented today, and yet the lower proportionality of her lower body shape, it still checks out and is still extremely nice. High quality female to win the class. If it's all about body shape, bulk, and mass, the heifer in second has the upper hand. She is more pulled apart there in terms of the upper side of her body shape there. She's stouter out through her hip and offers more strength out there through her pin set. It's when we ask the cattle to lead that she finds herself in second. She's a shot straighter there in the angle to her shoulder and knee than the heifer that wins. As a result, she'll duck down in her loin, come up in her tailhead. I'd like to see her just utilize her hock joint with a shot more athleticism on the go, but tremendous pair to surface into the top side of our first class of percent Simmentals.
Placing second in Class 12, Laura Landers Franklin, and first, Collins Cofield. In the ring now, we have Class 13. We have 4 entries of January and February 2024 heifers. We have an entry from Mason DuBose, Pike County, Lillian Smith from Chilton County, Amelia Ivy from Houston County, and Callie Ray Childers from Morgan. For everyone at home, just a reminder, the show is live streaming on juniorbeefexpo.com, juniorlivestockexpo.com. And tune in and watch that.
What a tremendous pair to surface to the top side of this class, and in my opinion, they're eerily similar to the pair out of the last class. When it gets close, for me, it just is always going to come down to balance and structure, and at this stage in their maturity, we need to ask these cattle to have the ability to continue on and be competitive throughout the remainder of their show career. That's where the young ladies wins for me. She's quite a bit fresher in terms of her condition. You study that one in terms of the top side of her neck, and she's tucked up a shot fresher there in terms of her sternum right there. She's more relaxed in her shoulder blade and knee from there back. I think that one, for being as genuine and fresh as she is in her condition, I love the shape to her body. I think that she transitions right in terms of her lower proportionalities. She's long and level out through her hip, and I think in relation to that heifer in second, she's quite a bit more attractive in the set to her hind leg and utilizes her hock joint with more athleticism and agility on the go. Young ladies heifer in second, without question, has the upper hand in terms of substance, power, and mass. That's a huge bodied one that's extra bold down the top side of her skeleton. She is more opened up in terms of her chest floor, and that allows her to open up with more mass and width. She offers more strength out there through her pin set. You relate her back to an impressive class winner. I'd like to freshen her up in terms of her condition, set her back in terms of her breastplate just ever so slightly there. That one's a shot straighter there in the angle to her shoulder blade, a shot higher there in the set to her tailhead. I'd like to make her more attractive in the set to her hind leg and see her just utilize her hock joint with a shot more fluidity out here on the go, but a really high quality one in terms of performance, bulk, and mass. Two cattle that come out next, the young man's that's going to be third has the upper hand in terms of length of body and femininity. She's more refined in the shape to her skull. She's a longer spined, longer hipped one that's good footed. I think that she just comes out of balance in relation to a really high quality pair on top. Like to see her tire lines in a shot smoother. Like to see her shot stouter at her foundation. Moderation, bulk, and density goes to the one in fourth. That one's extremely bold-bodied, extremely deep through the center part of her rib. Need to fix her in terms of her structure and build. She's a shot straighter than more vertical in her angles off either end. Like to freshen her up in terms of her condition, but really like that one's moderation and genuine doability.
Placing fourth in Class 13, Amelia Ivy. In third, Mason DeBose. Second, Lillian Smith, and first, Callie Ray Childers. We're ready for Class 14. Heifers born between September and December of 2023. We have 2 entries, Collins Cofield from Randolph County and Callie Ray Childers from Morgan.
I tell you what, folks, I didn't realize it at the time, but the way that you evaluate and rank that initial class of percentage scimitals out here is vitally important because the initial pairs in each class have mirrored that kind. In my opinion, we have to stay consistent and we have to stay to the beat that we started at the beginning of the breed division, and that's where freshness and structure always triumph added bulk and mass. The young ladies that wins is fresher in terms of her skull shape. She's more tucked up there in terms of her sternum. From there back, I think that once you peel the added fat layer off the heifer in second, I think she is more genuine. In terms of her boldness of upper body and shape, I think that that one offers more genuine strength there to her hip and pin set. She's more attractive in terms of how she sets down on her hind leg. Like that one in terms of her moderation of stature, in terms of her genuine skeletal width and look and balance. The young ladies in second, I think, makes it as close of a pair as what we've had yet in the percentage scimitals, and that's because she is very good in terms of her structure and build. I think that she is good in terms of how she utilizes her hock joint and reaches out and goes from behind. I think that one's just tremendous in terms of her depth of rib and body. You study that one in terms of where she's at and push and condition in her chest floor and at her pones there. And I think once you melt that out, there's a little bit less topside shape there than what you initially think. I'd like to open her up and make her more genuine in the shape to her forerib and pin set. In a perfect world, I'd make her just a shot more feminine in the shape to her skull, but extremely high quality, big bodied, loose structured cattle to be second in this class.
Congratulations, ladies. Placing second in Class 14, Collins Cofield, and in first, Callie Ray Childers. We're ready for Class 15. This is our final class of the percent Simmental division. We have 2 entries. Heifers born between January and April of 2023. We need those entries from Ella Grace Downs of Elmore County and Annabelle Wesley of Pike County.
What a pair, and I apologize for taking a little bit of time. I certainly want to be efficient today and get us out of here ahead of this weather. Young ladies, female, it's going to win the class. I'm not going to lie, this one's maybe just a shot on the big side for me. But when you really pull apart the cattle, if she's the right size for you, then this one's got a tremendous amount of quality. Super feminine, laid in smooth there at her shoulder blade. From there back, her genuine depth of rib is incredible. Long-bodied, long, square-hipped. Really good in terms of the set to her hind leg. Really like where she's at in terms of her udder development and teat spacing. When you really get back and study these cattle from far back in terms of their outline and silhouette, where she beats the heifer in second, in my opinion, is she is stronger there as you study her, how she transitions out of the backside of her shoulder blade. She has more strength and consistency to her pin set on the go because she is more athletic in terms of how she utilizes her hock joint. Young ladies heifer in second. Man, I like a lot of things about this one. She's a shot more moderate in terms of her stature, and to be honest, that's a little bit more my speed. She's youthful in terms of her skull shape. I really like this one in terms of the shape to her hind leg. I think she's bold and just right in terms of her rib shape, and I do think she is a shot fresher in terms of her condition than the heifer that wins the class. In my opinion, it's just that one to me. When you get back off of them, in terms of how her spine blends together, I'd like to make her a shot more consistent. In relation to the heifer that wins the class, she's a shot weaker there in terms of how she ties together behind her shoulder blade. I wish she carried her pin set with just a shot more consistency on the go, but really like that one in terms of her more moderate stature and body shape. Just need to see her top line pull together with a shot more consistency. High quality pair. Looking forward to getting these two back out here in our Champion Simmental Drive.
Placing second in Class 15, Annabelle Wesley. And in first, Ella Grace Down. We're ready for our percent Simmental division. From Class 12, we need Collins Cofield. From Class 13, Callie Ray Childers. From Class 14, Callie Ray Childers. And from Class 15, Ella Grace Downs. We'll select our breed champion, reserve breed champion, and then champion and reserve bred and owns.
Congratulate our percentage Simmental exhibitors out here. Man, I tell you what, I'm committed to efficiency today, and I'm going to be as short and concise as I can. But when you get these four out here, I think I'm just so happy with how they all come together. I think we did a great job in terms of setting a tone of where they need to be in terms of freshness, in terms of structure and look, and as a result, the pieces certainly fit. It makes my job extremely challenging among the four out here. The young ladies that wins the first class, man, you want to talk about just elegance and continuation. So fresh in terms of where she's presented at this stage in her maturity today. I like that one in terms of her structure. She gets out and goes with so much consistency and so much athleticism. You look at her in terms of how some of the cattle behind her, we know where they set. We're not quite exactly sure where one at this stage in her maturity is going to be long term, but man, I think that one's got a world of potential. Heifer out of the second class, she won that class because of her silhouette and outline and freshness. And you get back out here and she does a great job of making that stamp. That thing is just so youthful in terms of her head and the top side of her neck there, relaxed in her shoulder blade. From there, for where she's at and presented at this stage in her maturity curve, I love her body shape. She's long and level hipped, extremely attractive in terms of the set to her hind leg. You look at her in relation to the cattle just behind her, does she have quite enough to her there in terms of her forerib and heart? But I really like that one in terms of her kind, in terms of her silhouette, structure, and balance. The one out of the third class, man, you get this one out here and you really get backed up off of her and see her in terms of her silhouette, her look and balance, and I love her in terms of her moderation, her body shape. Everything ties together with incredible presence. In relation to that cattle just behind her, you know, where does she sit in terms of performance? I think she's got enough for me. In relation to the one right behind her, I would like to see her get out and stride with a shot more just coordination and reach and flexibility out of her front end, but I do like her hip. I love her hind leg. I love her moderation and body shape. This one out of the final class, I said I hit her. I said she is a little bit big for me, but I'm not here to tell you guys how big or small your cattle need to be. I'm here to pick part and evaluate quality. This one in terms of her outline is impressive. I've fed cattle to this stage in their maturity, and it's extremely challenging to keep them this fresh and genuine in terms of their feminine look and body shape. I love where she's at in terms of her body shape at this stage of her gestation and maturity. Great in terms of her teat size and udder spacing, long and level out through her hip, and really like how she utilizes her hind leg. Folks, it's hard to get a big one to this point and get her to look this good. She'll be our champion out here today. Let's bring that second place on out.
Our champion for St. Simmental comes out of Class 15. Congratulations, Ella Grace Downs. We need that second place heifer, Annabelle Wesley, to make their way into the lineup area.
That was a tough class, and you bring this second place one back out here, and on the stand, love her moderation, love her body shape, love the squareness to her hip. One that we talked about in class, maybe just a shot weaker there behind her shoulder blade. She'll want to duck in her pin set and get just a shot more uncoordinated in terms of how she utilizes her hock joint. You pick apart, I think, the really good cattle that are fault-free and have the ability to continue on and be as competitive as big cattle as what that one was, and I think it's the young ladies out of the third class. She'll be our reserve.
Congratulations, Callie Ray Childers. With her Class 14 heifer, this will be the reserve champion percent Simmental and also the champion bred known percent Simmental. We now need the selection of the reserve champion bred known Simmental. We need those entries from Class 12, Collins Cofield. From Class 13, Mason DeBose.
Bred known, and man, these two young people are commended for raising cattle of this quality and doing such a nice job of getting them presented and shown out here today. I think that there's one, we talked about her in class just being so unique in terms of where she sits in terms of continuation, in terms of her look and balance. It'll be the young ladies out of the first class will be our reserve and our bred knowns.
Our reserve champion bred known comes from Class 12. Congratulations to Collins Cofield of Randolph County. We're now ready for Class 16. We have 3 entries. Blake Mitchell from Elmore County, Abigail Leatherwood of Pike, and Martin Ellis Boyd of Coffee. These heifers are born between January and February of 2024.
Nice trio of cattle out here that are different in terms of their type and kind. And I'll be honest, it's a challenging pair for me, but I think when you get back off the cattle in terms of balance, look, and femininity, the young lady's heifer is going to go ahead and win. She's the trimmest at the top side of her neck, the most seamless in terms of her lower side proportions down the from her sternum back through her midrib and flank. She's the longest bodied, longest hipped cattle. That's extremely attractive in terms of the set to her hind leg. Where I'd like to change her is I think she's set just a little far forward in terms of where her shoulder sits on her skeleton, and as a result she'll roll up with a shot more inconsistency in her spine. And I think that's where the red heifer has the advantage over her. She is more appropriate and correct in the slope to her shoulder blade. She does carry her spine with more consistency on the go, and that's why it took me a minute to think about it. I just like to see her pull herself together, shot more seamless in terms of her look, lines, and balance out here. The deeper chested female's a shot coarser there in terms of how she ties her neck into the top side of her skeleton. She's a shot more nervous out here, and it makes it difficult to read where she is in terms of her pin set and how her lower body all connects in terms of her lines. There's no doubt the performance-oriented one that has the upper hand in terms of mass and bulk comes in third. I'd like to see her pull herself together with a shot more look and balance. I'd like for her to be more relaxed in her top line and square at her pin set. But in terms of just general flexibility, performance, and mass, I think that one will make a really nice cow for this young man.
Placing third in Class 16, Blake Mitchell. In second, Martin Ellis Boyd. And in first, Abigail Leatherwood. Ready for Class 17, single entry owned by Cameron White of Randolph County. Heifer born September of 2023.
Cattle with some bulk, mass, and body shape, extra square in the set to her hind leg and how she plants down at the ground, one with some added strength there when you study her through her chest, floor, and sternum. Perfect world, I'd like to make her just a shot more athletic and a little less cumbersome in terms of how she utilizes her hock joint. I'd like to just smooth her up in her tail head, make her lines blend in, a shot more seamless, but a nice, solid, square-built cattle. Looking forward to how she racks up out here in our drive.
Congratulations, Cameron. We're now ready for Class 18. We have 2 entries, heifers born between April and May of 2023. We need those entries from Cabry Kellenbrink from Elmore County and Callie Ray Childers from Morgan. Following this class, we'll have selection of our purebred, Simmental, Champion, and Reserve.
Really high quality, purebred red Simmental to win the class. You want to talk about one with just a mama cow look right now? I like a lot of things about her. Super fresh in terms of how she picks her neck up out of the top side of her shoulder blade there. From there back, I love this thing's body shape. She's so bold and opened up in terms of the top side of her skeleton. You read how she transitions out from her heart and forerib back to her midrib. That's genuine body shape right there, folks. Long and level out through her hip and still matches at the ground in terms of having some feature at her foundation. Really like her kind. Looking forward to seeing how she comes back out here. Taking nothing away from the young lady's red baldy female, that one's moderate, square built, and stout featured. I just like to see her lines come together, a shot more seamless from the profile. At this stage in her maturity, I'd like to soften her up in terms of her rib shape, give her just a shot more performance to match an impressive class winner. But really nice pair of cattle out here in our class of purebred Simmentals.
We're now ready for our champion purebred Simmental drive from class number 16. We have Abigail Leatherwood from Pike County. From class 17, Cameron White from Randolph County. And in from class 18, Callie Ray Childers from Morgan County.
We get these out here, and I think a similar lineup that mirrors what our percentage Simmental cattle were. And the young lady's female out of the first class on the standstill, I love this thing in terms of her look and balance and freshness. So trim and feminine there at the top side, the crest of her neck. From there back, she is long-bodied, long-hipped cattle that's attractive in the set to her hind leg. Right in terms of her body shape, fresh and genuine in terms of how she's presented today. Got picky on her in class, and I'd still like to change it about her. I think that if we could rock her shoulder blade back and give it a shot more angularity there on the front side of her skeleton, it would allow her to maintain her top line with just a shot more consistency on the go. Heifer out of the second class, stout, square-built cattle. That's good in terms of her basic fundamentals. I like to see her a shot less cumbersome on the go. Like to see her lines fit in with a shot more just symmetry, but not bad cattle whatsoever. Red female out of the final class. We talked about it in the last division. Managing these kind of cattle at this stage in their maturity curve right now is extremely challenging. This is the final show for a lot of these cattle, and I think it really means something to work on one for this long and still have them right at the end. I really like her kind. She'll be our champion out here today. Young ladies out of the first class will be our reserve.
Our champion purebred Simmental comes out of class number 18. Congratulations to Callie Ray Childers of Morgan County. Our reserve champion purebred Simmental comes out of class 16. Congratulations to Abigail Leatherwood of Pike County. We're ready for our commercials to begin our crossbred show. Our first class of commercial heifers is class number 19. We have 4 entries in this class, heifers weighing between 410 and 555 pounds.
A pair of extremely cattle that are extremely contrasting in terms of their type and kind, surfaced to the top side of our first class of commercials. The young ladies that's going to win the class, moderate, square, and dense, certainly describes her. I think of her contemporaries, she comes with the most amount of look and balance and proportionality. Young lady's heifer that's going to be second, certainly a little bit more my speed in terms of her extension and femininity, longer bodied, longer hipped cattle. Just couldn't quite convince myself there was enough to her coming and going to get around the red heifer that wins. I'd like to see her lines lay in her with a shot more quality. Certainly like to open her up in terms of her forerib, see her come with more strength to her pin set. Young lady Speckle Park female, it's going to be third. She stays off the bottom of the class because she is the longer bodied, higher performing cattle with more foot and feature. Young lady's baldy female, it's going to round out the class. Certainly comes with a shot more balance than the heifer in second. She's a square hipped option. She just gives up the most in terms of performance, mass, and bulk.
Placing fourth in Class 19, Shay McCain. In third, Emma Paget. Second, Shay McCain. And in first, Briley Good. We're ready for Class 20. We have 3 entries. Heifers weighing between 595 and 600. We have those entries from Easton Elrod, Coleman County, Emma Paget from Conecuh County, and Easton Elrod from Coleman.
Pair of cattle that are similar in terms of their moderation and body shape, surface. The young man's that wins the class certainly has the upper hand in terms of look and balance. Her lines just lay in her with quite a bit more symmetry and balance. I think that she is square in the set to her hind leg and especially more appropriate in the angle to her shoulder and knee. Young man's heifer that's going to be second certainly has the advantage in terms of length of body and length of hip. We just need to fix some things on her from a build standpoint. She needs to be relaxed in the angle to her shoulder blade, and I think it would allow her to maintain her top line with more consistency. I'd like to set her to end just a shot smoother there in her tail head, make her square in terms of how she utilizes her hind leg. High-performing cattle rounds out the class. She offers the most in terms of length of body, really good structured kind of cattle. In relation to those two just ahead of her, needs to come with a shot more quality and balance. I'd like to soften her up in terms of her lower body shape.
Placing third in Class 20, Emma Paget. And in first and second, 2 entries from Easton Elrod. Congratulations. We're ready for Class 21. We have 5 entries, heifers weighing between 790 and 850 pounds. We need those entries from Emma Paget, Conecuh County, Brandon White from Conecuh County, Megan Crittenden from Elmore County, Chloe Sewell from Dale County, and Jesse Maples from Chambers County.
I enjoy cattle that are hard to make, cattle that are unique, and if this one's your speed that wins this class, then she's very, very good. I'll be completely transparent. She's not my vision of an ideal breeding animal, but she is very unique and brings some neat pieces to the table in terms of squareness of build, in terms of look and balance and feature. That thing is huge, square hind-legged, big square hipped and right in terms of her body shape. I'd like to make her a shot more feminine in terms of her build. I'd like to give her a shot more length of body and length of hip. But you want to talk about moderation, skeletal width, and density with some added foot and feature, really neat cattle to win the class. Young lady's Hereford heifer, she's going to be second because she's the next one that best combines moderation, upper body shape, with some length of body and skeletal width. Of the remaining cattle, she is the most consistent in terms of her top line. She's the boldest in terms of her upper rib shape and the soundest and most comfortable on the go. Young lady's heifer that's going to be third certainly brings some good things to the table on the stand. She's good in terms of her upper body shape. She probably offers a shot more mass and dimension when we study the cattle down the top side of her skeleton than the heifer in second. It's when the cattle get out and go that she finds herself in third. I'd like to give her more strength to her loin. I'd like for her to be smoother there in her tail head and utilize her hind leg with just a shot more reach and agility. Young lady's black heifer that's coming out next, long-bodied, high-performing cattle that needs to come with more rib, needs to come with more look and balance. A similar story with the one that's going to round out the class. Really long-bodied, lots of performance, good structured cattle that's good in terms of the basic fundamentals. In relation to her contemporaries, she needs to come with a shot more look and balance. I'd like to soften her up in terms of her body shape.
Placing fifth in Class 21, Brandon White. Fourth, Emma Paget. Third, Chloe Sewell. Second, Megan Crittenden. And first, Jesse Maples. We're ready for Class 22. We have 5 entries, heifers weighing between 885 and 930. We have entries from Garrett Bowman from Monroe County, Candilli McCain from Clay County, Sarah Beth Faust from Blount County, Colt Childers from Morgan County, and Camden Upchurch from Clay County.
Young man's heifer that's going to win the class. Folks, this thing's really, really neat. You get back off her in terms of silhouette and look. She certainly sets the standards. That thing's incredible in terms of her body shape. She's long and low out to her hip and extremely stout and square in terms of the set to her hind leg. Hard to pick apart livestock with a tremendous amount of quality. Young man's heifer is going to be second. In terms of her attitude, but I certainly like some things about her in terms of the structure and build of the remaining cattle. She is the most angular up front. She holds her top line with the most consistency, and she's long and level out to her hip and has some strength to the set to her hind leg. In relation to her, I'd like to bulk her up and give her a shot more mass. In a perfect world, that one just comes a shot more angular in terms of the shape to her shoulder blade. More moderate, deeper body heifer comes out here. Like those things about her. She's full body. She's got some strength out there through her pin set. That one gets out on the go with a straight female scale, weaken in her loin, and come up in her tail head. I just like to see her lay her lines in with a shot more symmetry and quality on the move. Young lady's female that comes out next, she stays up there because she's the next soundest option. That's more relaxed in terms of her angles. She's more athletic on the go. High performing cattle with tremendous length of body. In relation to those cattle just ahead of her, in relation to her added stature and scale and frame, I'd like to just soften her up in terms of her body shape. See her come with a shot more power and mass. Young Manson's going to round out the class. Certainly has the moderation and shape. That thing is really full body, tremendously stout hips and stout featured. We need to fix her from a skeletal, just relax her in her ankles. I think as a result, it would allow her to maintain her pin set with a shot more consistency on the go. But a high quality group of commercial heifers, really, really good one to start.
Placing fifth in Class 22, Bowman. Fourth, Kendilly McCain. Third, Sarah Beth Faust. Second, Colt Childers. And first, Camden Upchurch. We're now ready for Class 23. There are 4 entries. We have entries weighing between 970 and 985. Entries from Silas Galat, Lee County. Laura Landers Franklin from Blunt. Claire Smith from Chilton. And Briar Downs from Elmore. If you have friends and family tuning in at home, just a reminder the shows are being live streamed on juniorlivestockexpo.com. You can follow along for all the updates today as our judge sorts an excellent set of cattle.
Without question, in my opinion, the class that is the deepest in quality stands before us right now. I think that the last place female in this class is as good as any third and fourth place one we've seen yet today. And that's what makes it challenging because the cattle are quite different. The heifer that wins the class sets the standard in terms of moderation and body shape. I think that in relation to the female just behind her, she's a shot more feminine in the shape to her skull, the top side of her neck. I think she transitions out of the back side of her shoulder with more genuine strength there in terms of her forerib. I like that one in terms of her lower body shape. She's got strength out through her hip and pin set, really neat and tidy in terms of how that tail head's set right there at the top side of her hip, stout and square in terms of the set to her hind leg. I'll be the first to admit I prefer the Hereford's front end structure. I think that she is more relaxed in the slope to her shoulder, more relaxed in her knee. That's high performing cattle. That's really high quality. I think that the young man just has a few less ingredients to work with than some of these other commercial cattle within this given setting. But man, that's high performing, long bodied cattle. In relation to the one that wins, I'd like to power up in terms of her forerib. I'd like to make her a shot neater in terms of the shape to her head and skull. But you want to talk about a good hind-legged, high-performing cattle that's good in their lower body. I sure do like that one. The remaining two, I think, are challenging because they are different. The young man's more moderate, deeper-bodied cattle, in my opinion, is better and more consistent in terms of the set to her hind leg, and she utilizes it with more athleticism and agility when she gets out on the go, and that's why she stays up off the bottom. Young lady's female in fourth is the longer-bodied, higher-performing option that is stouter in terms of her foundation, and I like those things about her. It's when she gets out on the go, I just like to change the shape to her hind leg. I'd like to see her get out and go with a shot more reach and flexibility. But man, let's put our hands together and congratulate those four young people. Awesome set of commercials.
Placing fourth in Class 23, Claire Smith. In third, Briar Downs. Second, Silas Galat. And first, Laura Landers Franklin. We're ready for Class 24. We have 4 entries, heifers weighing between 1,040 and 1,205. We need those entries from C.J. Lovelace, Lauderdale County, Olivia Maddox, DeKalb County, Cooper Burgess from Blount County, and Easton Elrod from Coleman.
tough set of 4 commercials out here. And I think when it gets close like this and the cattle are so contrasting in terms of their type and kind, I just need to stick with my gut and remember the type and kind of cattle that I really appreciate and strive to raise at home. And the young ladies that's going to win the class represents that kind of cattle. Moderate, big-bodied, extremely good in terms of her structure. Does she have the most of anything out here? Not necessarily, but I think in terms of basic fundamentals, she sets the standards within her contemporaries in terms of body shape, looseness of structure, and flexibility out here, and still being able to pull it together with a really nice, smooth, feminine look. Just a really nice kind to go ahead and start. The young man's heifer in second, no doubt, has the upper hand in terms of performance, bulk, and mass. She's the bolder-bodied, stouter-featured cattle that offers a shot more just length of hip and extension. Really stout out there through her hip and pin set. When this one gets out on the go, she just falls into more pieces for me. The rounder-shouldered female will push up forward there and her angles up front. I'd like to see her just come together a shot more seamless in terms of her lines and balance. Young man, if you're trying to make Hereford Mark show steers to sell into OYE that's going on this weekend, boy, I think you got yourself a neat piece. That thing's really bold-bodied, huge muscled, really stout in terms of her feature and wild in terms of her look. I need to relax her in terms of her angles up front. Her shoulder needs set back, her knee needs set back in terms of her skeleton. I'd like to set her down smoother in terms of her tail head and see her get out and go with a shot more reach from behind. But wow, really interesting cattle in terms of added mass and dimension. A similar story to the heifer that comes out in fourth. High-performing cattle that's overwhelming in terms of her bulk and her mass. Need to fix her in terms of her skeleton and angles. I'd like to see her get out and go with a shot more reach and flexibility. In relation to those cattle just ahead of her, I'd like for her lines to set in her with a shot more symmetry and quality, but really challenging group of 4 cattle there that are quite different in terms of their type and kind.
Placing fourth in Class 24, C.J. Lovelace. Third, Cooper Burgess. Second, Easton Elrod. And first, Olivia Maddox. We're ready for Class 25. We have 3 entries. Heifers weighing between 1265 and 1485. Entries from Tyson Burton, St. Clair County. Tatum Abel from Blount County. And C.J. Lovelace from Lauderdale. At the conclusion of this class, we will have our selection of breed champion commercial heifers.
Cattle that displays most feminine quality rises to the top side of her contemporaries in this class of commercials. The most refined skulled female that's set back the best in terms of the angle to her shoulder blade. From there, long-bodied cattle that's the most genuine in terms of her condition and how she's presented today. That one's really long-hipped, and I think that she is the most acceptable in terms of her structure and athleticism. Young lady's blue heifer that's going to be second in relation to the cattle in third. She's fresher in terms of her condition. She's laid in smoother at the point. point of her shoulder blade and offers more femininity when we study her about her skull. She just is quite a bit straighter in the angle to her shoulder blade than the heifer that wins the class. I like to shorten her up in terms of her toe size just ever so slightly. Young man's heifer that's going to round out the class, if it's all about performance, substance, and mass, she has the upper hand. Overwhelming in terms of her body shape, mass, and dimension out through her hip. We need to fix that one from a skeletal standpoint. I'd like to see her be smoother and more attractive in the set to her hind leg. I'd like to just freshen her up in terms of her condition and refine her in the shape to her skull.
Placing third in Class 25, Tyson Burton. In second, CJ Lovelace. And in first, Tatum Abel. We're now ready for the selection of Grand and Reserve commercial heifers. From class number 19, we need Briley Good from Lauderdale County. From class number 20, Easton Elrod from Coleman County. Class number 21, Jesse Maples from Chambers County. From class 22, Camden Upchurch from Clay County. Class 23, Laura Landers Franklin from Blount County. From class 24, Olivia Maddox from DeKalb County. And from class 25, Tatum Abel from Blount County.
Folks, like many commercial divisions, it sure did present its fair share of inconsistencies and differences in types of cattle, but I think once we get them back out here, I really like the kind that we settled on just in terms of femininity, look, structure, and functionality. We've described them in detail in their respective classes, and I think that there's two out here that are really great in terms of their quality. One, to me, is more relaxed in her shoulder blade and more feminine in terms of how she picks her neck up out of the top side of her shoulder. It'll be the young man's out of the fourth class. She'll be our champion commercial. Young ladies right behind him will be reserved.
Our champion commercial heifer comes out of class 22. Congratulations to Camden Upchurch of Clay County. Our reserve champion commercial heifer comes from class 23. Congratulations to Laura Landers Franklin of Blount County. Our next division is class 26, AOB British heifers. We have a single entry in class 26. This will be your class winner and division champion for AOB British. We need that entry from Vivian Lou Thompson from Pike County, a June 2023 heifer to make her way into the lineup area. AOB British, probably a black Hereford. Yeah, black Hereford definitely. Class 1 champion AOB.
producers and see a lot of different black Hereford cattle, and this one's about as good as it gets. She's a really high quality stock that's loose and functional in terms of her build, performance driven cattle that's right in terms of her rib shape, long and level out through her hip, extra square in her build. You get picky on her, maybe I'd like to just freshen her up in terms of her condition just ever so slightly, but with one with genuine doability like that, I certainly don't knock her too hard on it. High quality cattle this young lady brings us out here in our AOB British Drive.
Congratulations, Ms. Thompson. This is your champion AOB British, and this heifer's also bred and owned for Ms. Thompson, so congratulations all around. We're now ready for class number 27. We have one entry in this class, a September heifer owned by September 2024 heifer owned by Megan Crittenden of Elmore County. Placing first in class 27, Megan Crittenden. Ready for class 28, we have two entries. Bryce Guy from Elmore County and Kinley Wood from Coleman County. These heifers would have been born in the May of 2024.
I'd like to just see her carry her loin with a shot more consistency on the go. But you want to talk about a moderate, wide-chested one with the right kind of body shape, young man, she could sure handle some more competition. Really nice pair to come on out of the second class Angus cattle.
Placing second in Class 28, Bryce Guy. And in first, Kinley Wood. We're ready for class number 29. We have 3 heifers born in April of 2024. We need those entries from Brooklyn Price, Lee County, Harper Starnes, DeKalb County, and Kinley Wood from Coleman County.
Tell you what, folks, this heifer that wins the class, when she gets parked and pulled together right out here like that, she is just my speed in terms of proportionality, genuine skeletal width, and still being fresh and feminine in terms of her presentation out here today. Man, that thing is got some genuine width there when you study her through her chest floor. From there back, it allows her to open up just right in terms of her body shape. I think that when you study her in relation to the heifer in second, she is bolder in terms of her forerib, more robust in terms of her heart, how she transitions back to her midrib and flank. From there back, she's smoother in terms of her tail head and square in the set to her hind leg. In a basic sense about that one, everything just fits and comes together pretty seamlessly. High quality stock to come to the top side. Young lady's heifer in second, she's a more performance-oriented, bigger outline kind of cattle, and she can give you a really good look up front in terms of her angulation. I like her lower body shape and how she transitions out of the backside of her chest floor back to her midrib and flank. She's long and level hipped and stout in terms of her hind leg. In relation to that heifer that wins the class, I'd like to power her up in terms of her heart and forerib, see her come just a shot more robust there through her midrib, and just make her a hair more attractive in the set to her hind leg. But that's a really nice, good-looking, big-bodied one with some extra stretch and outline. Young lady's female, it's going to come out and round out the class here in third. Different end of the spectrum in terms of being a more moderate cattle, and I like that about her. She's really bold in the top side of her body shape there. Certainly has some added shape and dimension when you study the cattle coming and going. I'd like to just alter her in terms of her structure and build. Of the three cattle to the top side of this class, she's a hair more vertical there in the slope to her shoulder blade. Just a shot more awkward in terms of how she sets down from behind, but high quality cattle, really good one to go ahead and win this class.
Recapping Class 29, in third is Kinley Wood, second Brooklyn Price, and in first Harper Starnes. We're now in Class 30. We have 3 entries of March 2024 born heifers. We have entries from Callie Ray Childers, Morgan County, Camden Upchurch from Clay County, and Tyson Burton from St. Clair County.
With that last leg swing.
Just keeps coming, and this is going to be a really fun Angus drive when it gets down to it. You want to talk about a good-looking, long-fronted one that's so neat in terms of the pitch to her neck. From there back, deep-sided, really square-hipped, square hind-legged cattle that's good in terms of her rear running gear. You get picky on her. I'd like to just make her a shot more consistent in terms of how she carries the middle of her spine. I'd like to set her down in terms of her tail head just ever so slightly. That's getting really picky on an extra high-quality one. I don't want to take anything away from the kind of cattle the young Manson second is, because she's moderate, bold-bodied, and certainly offers some good in terms of power and dimension. In relation to that heifer that wins the class, the coarser jointed female is a shot more rigid in terms of her step. I'd like to see her pull her spine together with a shot more consistency on the go.
Placing second in Class 30, Tyson Burton, and in first, Camden Upchurch. Ready for Class 31, we have 4 entries of heifers born between January and February of 2024. We have entries from Paige Denton, Lauderdale County, Laura Landers Franklin from Blount County, Camden Upchurch from Clay, and Ty Harrison from Coleman.
Folks, what a pair. It is challenging out here, and I apologize. I know that weather's coming in and we're going to be as efficient as we can, but I think that when the cattle get this good and we're at this kind of a stage, you owe it to these kids to absolutely analyze every detail when the quality gets this good. The young man's heifer that's going to win this class, in my opinion, at this stage in her maturity curve, she's more appropriate to where she sets in terms of her lower body shape. She is more opened up in terms of her heart and forerib. From there back, she's more expansive through the midsection of her rib. I think that one blends just a shot smoother there from her hooks back to her pin set. Although she does have a shot more tailhead, I believe that she maintains more strength in terms of her loin. This young man gets her parked out here, and that thing will give you a wild look in terms of her outline. Long fronted, high tying. From there back, just extra stout and square out through her hip. You get picky on her, and this is what I couldn't quite. This is what made it so challenging for me, is she is a shot straighter in her angles up front than the heifer in second, and I do prefer the heifer in second from that aspect. I just couldn't quite convince myself there was quite enough to her at this stage in her maturity to get around just a big-bodied, massive one that's that good looking and that good built. Young lady's heifer in second, I already said it. I love this thing's structure. Her hind leg is soft and good, and the angle to her shoulder is better than the heifer that wins the class. I think she's so fresh in terms of her condition. That's a long spine, long hipped one. I'd like to see her carry her loin with just a shot more consistency in relation to an impressive class winner. She isn't just quite as expansive in terms of her heart and her forerib. I don't want to take anything away from these two cattle that remain because they're moderate, big-bodied cattle. The young man's heifer in third, she comes with more look and balance than the heifer in fourth. She's smoother there at the point of her shoulder, longer and leveler out through her hip, and better in the set to her tailhead. Young lady's heifer, it's going to round out the class, moderate and huge-bodied. Just one that needs to come a shot more seamless in terms of her look, lines, and balance in relation to three really competitive contemporaries. Nice class, impressive pair on top.
Placing fourth in Class 31, Paige Ditton. Third, Ty Harrison. Second, Laura Landers Franklin. And first, Camden Upchurch. In the ring now, we have Class 32. We have 7 entries. Heifers born between October and December of 2023. We have entries from Ellis Evans, Montgomery County. Mason DeBose, Pike County. Amelia Thrower, Marshall County. Paige Denton, Lauderdale County. Claire Smith, Chilton County. Sarah Beth Faust, Blount County. And Amelia Thrower from Marshall County. As this class is making their way in the ring, need to thank our sponsors for the show today. The Dale, Escambia, and Monroe County Farmers Federations. The Alabama BCIA. The Alabama Beef Checkoff. The Alabama Department of Ag and Industries, Alabama Farm Credit, Alpha Health, CK Cattle, the Alabama Cattlemen's Association Cowboy Tag, Hicks Herefords, Bozeman Farms, the Southeast Red Angus Association, Sun South, and Zoetis. Thank you for your sponsorships.
feminine feature, quality, symmetry, and balance allows this female to rise to the top side of the class. She is the most feminine in the shape to her skull. She is the freshest and most genuine in terms of the condition she's presented in today, and yet still the next best in terms of her upper body shape. That one's insanely impressive in terms of the boldness to her upper skeleton, offers tremendous strength out there through her pin set. I think of those top 3 cattle, she's by some margin the most attractive in the set to her hind leg and more set back in the slope and angle to her shoulder. Really nice one to go on and win this class. Young lady's heifer in second. If we could peel just a tick bit of condition off that one, set her down in her tail head, make her smoother in her hock joint, she gives her a run for the money because she's a longer spine, longer hipped option. I just like to freshen her up in terms of her condition, but that is a stout featured Angus female that's really nice in terms of her body shape, mass, and density. Young man's female in third on the standstill. I like her better than the heifer in second because she is more feminine in terms of her skull shape, fresher in terms of her condition, and tucked up neater there at the bottom side of her chest floor. It's when we ask the cattle to lead that she finds herself in third. That she's more vertical in the slope and to her shoulder blade, more vertical and further forward in terms of her knee. She needs to set down and use her hock joint a shot smoother and more consistent on the go. Shoulders back, the young lady's next heifer is great in terms of length of body, length of hip. It's a nice hind-legged one. We need to fix her in terms of her angles up front. The straighter female will come down in her loin and offer more inconsistency in terms of her spine when she gets out on the go. But that's a long-bodied one that can give you a nice silhouette on the stand. Young man brings us out a really nice kind of cattle out here next. Does she come together just as seamless in terms of her balance and style as the cattle that precede her? Maybe not, but that's a big-bodied, stout-featured one that's loose and functional in terms of her build, just runs out of extra style and presence in relation to her contemporaries. Young lady's female coming out next. I really like this one in terms of her substance and mass when you study her at the ground. She's a soft-bodied, long-hipped cattle in relation to the ones just ahead of her. She needs to come and go with more power and mass, specifically down the top side of her skeleton. I'd like to open her up in terms of her pin set, see her shot smoother in terms of her joint work. I don't want to take anything away from the young lady's yellow tagged heifer that's going to round out the class because by all practical purposes of the Angus cow, she checks the boxes. She's a loose-structured, big-bodied female that probably would have won a lot of classes today. She gets out here in a really tough set of contemporaries and just runs out of look and balance in relation to the ones just ahead of her.
Placing 7th in Class 32, Ellis Evans. In 6th, Paige Denton. 5th, Mason DeBose. 4th, Sarah Beth Faust. 3rd, Amelia Thrower. 2nd, Claire Smith. And 1st, Amelia Thrower. We're ready for Class 33. We have 3 entries. Heifers born in September of 2023. We have entries from Chloe Sewell of Dale County, Camden Upchurch of Clay County, and Ellis Evans of Montgomery County.
high quality, proportional, good looking livestock surfaces to the top side of this Angus class. Long bodied, extra feminine in terms of her skull shape, extra fresh and tidy in terms of how she's presented today. That one still, for as good a looking as she is, comes with plenty of substance and mass. She has some genuine strength when you study her through her chest floor, some genuine strength when you study her out through her pin set. She's a nice square hind-legged one. She's just a tick full out here today, and it's a little warm in the ring. She's wanting to carry herself just a little lethargic, but her angles and build all check out. I like that one in terms of her skeleton, her presence, and length. The next two cattle are certainly different in terms of their type and kind. The young lady that's going to be second stays up above her because she is the sounder option. That is more comfortable in terms of how she utilizes her hind leg. She's set back better in the angle to her shoulder and knee. She's a more moderate option that I think is more genuine in the shape to her heart and forerib. Young lady's female that's going to round out the class certainly has the upper hand over the heifer in second in terms of length of body and extension. And she can give you a neat look when the young lady gets her stopped. It's just when the cattle are asked to lead. I need to change that one from a skeletal standpoint. I'd like to relax her in her shoulder blade, see her get out and go with more reach and comfort from behind.
Recapping Class 33. In third place was Chloe Sewell, second Ellis Evans, and first Camden Upchurch. We're ready for Class 34. We have 2 entries, heifers born between May and July of 2023. We have entries from Pacey Sewell from Dale County and Megan Crittenden from Elmore County. Placing second in Class 34, Megan Crittenden, and first, Pacey Sewell. We're ready for Class 35. This is our final class of Angus heifers for today. We have 2 entries, heifers born in March of 2023. We have entries from Sarah Beth Faust from Blount County and Shep Evans from Montgomery County. Following this class, we'll have selection of champion Angus and reserve Angus heifers and the champion and reserve bred and owned females.
He sorts to the top side of this class. Big middled, extremely bold down the top side of her skeleton, extremely deep there in the center portion of her body, stout featured and stout skulled. Perfect world, I'd like to just make her a shot more angular up front. I think that would allow her to carry her spine with just a shot more looseness and comfort when she gets out on the go. But really nice cattle, big picture in terms of stoutness and feature, brings a ton of value to the table. Young man's heifer that comes out in second, she's a tick fresher there when you study her. The top side of her neck, super elegant in the shape to her head. That's long-bodied, long-hipped cattle that's functional in terms of her build. In relation to a really powerful class winner, she needs to come with more body and shape. I'd like to just stouten her up in terms of her foundation, but a high-quality pair of Angus females that certainly both bring some value to the table.
Placing second in Class 35, Shep Evans, and first, Sarah Beth Faust. We're ready for our champion Angus heifer drive. From Class 27, we have Megan Crittenden from Elmore County. From Class 28, Kinley Wood from Coleman County. Class 29, Harper Starnes from DeKalb County. Class 30, Camden Upchurch from Clay County. Class 31, Camden Upchurch from Clay County. Class 32, Amelia Thrower from Marshall County. Class 33, Camden Upchurch from Clay County. Class 34, Pacey Sewell from Dale County. And Class 35, Sarah Beth Faust from Blount County.
Folks, let's put our hands together and congratulate our Angus exhibitors out here today. I promise that I entered the day with the mindset being that I am not going to throw on the brakes and we're going to do this efficiently, but this has been nothing short of incredible. The quality throughout the entire Angus show is something that is really hard to achieve, and I think a true testament to how good these cattle are in this state of Alabama. I think you could go to a lot of Midwest state fairs and have a lineup of Angus cattle that doesn't quite match this. I do think that there's some cattle that we need to go back through and dissect and digest once they get out here amongst their contemporaries in such a great group. Nothing to take away with the heifer that wins the first class. That's a sound, functional one. Maybe just doesn't come with the look and balance of the cattle behind her. Young ladies, female of the second class, similar story. I like that one's body shape. I love her look. I love where she's at this stage in her maturity in terms of her freshness and genuine condition. In relation to cattle behind her, she needs to be more robust in terms of her rib shape. Needs to come with some more skeletal width and strength. This one out of the third class, man, this thing's incredible in terms of her proportions. Everything fits. I think her structure is extremely, extremely high quality and difficult to fault, and that allows her to pull herself together with that kind of look and quality. So stout and square in terms of her hind leg, spot on in terms of her presentation and how fresh she is in her condition at this stage in the game. Heifer right behind her, massive bodied, stout, square, hind-legged. I'd like to just maybe see her attached right behind her shoulder blade with a shot more strength, but man, that one's impressive in terms of her outline and being able to match her with that kind of mass and dimension. Similar kind of cattle stands right behind her, long-bodied, long-fronted, really good-looking, huge-middled kind of cattle. Talked about her in class. If you get picky on her, you would like to just relax her in the slope to her shoulder or knee just ever so slightly. But man, that's a big outline, big pictured kind of cattle that's extremely impressive. Slightly different speed right behind her in terms of moderation and density. This thing's so bold in terms of her body shape, so good in terms of her silhouette and look. I like her proportions. Where does she set amongst her contemporaries in terms of continuation and scale is the question for me. But man, that thing is fresh. She is monster bodied and great in terms of her structure. Really appreciate the type and kind that she represents. One out of the next class, length of body was in her favor. Deep-sided, square-built kind of cattle. Maybe not quite as unique and elite in terms of her look and balance as some others out here, but still one that I think brings some true quality to the table. Big-bodied, high-performing kind of cattle comes out of the next class. She needs to come with a shot more look and presence in relation to the cattle on either end of her. Female out of the final class, that's a stout-featured, bulky, massive, dimensional Angus cattle. Really appreciate those things about her. She's nice, soft, square, hind-legged. Certainly has some strength when you study her through her sternum and pin set. You get her out here versus some of her contemporaries. I'd like to see her pull herself together a shot neater in terms of her look. I'd like to just rock her back and her shoulder blade, and I think that would allow her to carry her top line with a shot more comfort on the go. I still haven't 100% made my mind up out here. I'm going to go out and take one last good look at them, and we'll select an Angus champion.
Champion Angus heifer comes out of class 29, Harper Starnes. We need that entry, that second place entry from Brooklyn Price to make its way into the lineup area. Our reserve champion heifer belongs to Camden Upchurch. Congratulations. We're now having the selection of our champion and reserve Angus bred known females. From Class 1, Megan Crittenden. From Class 30, Camden Upchurch. From Class 32, Amelia Thrower. From Class 33, we need Ellis Ann Evans.
We pull these cattle out here for our bred known drive, and man, it is impressive that these young people are raising cattle of this caliber. There's one out here that I really liked in our Angus drive, and if I had to pick a third overall, it would have been her. I think she's really good in terms of her moderation and density. The young ladies out of the third class will be our champion bred known. Young man's out of the second will be reserve. Nice job.
Congratulations to Amelia Thrower with her Class 32 bred known winner. And our reserve comes from Class 30, Camden Upchurch. Our next division in Class 36 is the Mini Heifer division. We have one heifer in this class, and she'll be champion. Oh, thanks, Jim. Our division is sponsored by Mitch Smith Chevrolet, Coleman. This is our class winning, owned by Emmy Lovelady, single entry. This will also be our breed champion, Mini Hereford.
This one's going to go ahead and be our champion Mini Hereford out here, and she certainly deserved to see some contemporaries because she is a really high quality young lady doing an excellent job getting her presented out here today. That one is good looking, extremely bold bodied, square hipped, and great in terms of her structure and build. Really high quality cattle. I'd like to congratulate her on bringing a really nice one to town that I think could handle a ton of competition in the Mini Hereford division. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Emmy. Again, this division is sponsored by Mitch Smith Chevrolet of Coleman. We're now ready for our Hereford division. Class 38, we have 3 entries. Heifers born between between April and May of 2024. In the ring now, we have Harper Starnes of DeKalb County, Mackenzie Hornbuckle of Morgan, and Silas Gillard of Lee. Placing first in Class 38, Harper Starnes. Second, Mackenzie Hornbuckle. And third, Silas Galat. We're now ready for Class 39. We have 3 entries. Heifers born in April of 2024. We have entries by Michael Mazzerio from Shelby County, Colt Childers from Morgan County, and Lillian Smith from Chilton.
Continuation brings the young man's heifer to the top end of this class. She is the most correct in terms of her angles and build off either end of her framework. She's the freshest in terms of her presentation today. That one's moderate, proportional, just a really nice, solid way to start out. If it's all about performance, bulk, and mass, then the young lady's heifer in second certainly has the upper hand. That one's really aggressive in terms of where she's at today in her weight per day of age. In my opinion, I'd just like to relax her in her shoulder blade and knee. I'd like to see her utilize her hock joint and get out and go with a shot more reach and flexibility off either end of her framework. But on the standstill, impressive in terms of her performance, bulk, and mass. Young man's going to round out the class. He brings us a really nice moderate cow prospect to town. That one's loose and functional in her build. She's a good pigmented, moderate statured cattle that's good in her body shape and fresh in how he's got her presented today. She doesn't come with quite as much power and dimension of the cattle in second, and doesn't come with quite as much look and added presence as the one that wins the class.
Placing first in Class 39, Colt Childers. And second, Lillian Smith. And third, Michael Miserano. We're ready for Class 4. We have 4 entries. Heifers born March 2024. We have entries from Brooklyn Price, Lee County. Anthony Miserano, Shelby County. Cabri Killenbrink from Elmore County. And Coleman Smith from St. Clair. Attention in the barns. We have a Jeep that is blocking someone's trailer. It's a white Jeep from Hendrick. Has a Chilton County tag 14A2 WXU with a MHS Devil sticker on it. So if that is your Jeep, please move it immediately. Thank you so much.
really nice, logical place to start with the young lady's female that's going to win. I really like this one in terms of just her basic kind. I think that she's sound, functional cattle with look and presence, and she's right in terms of her body shape. She simply just doesn't beat herself anywhere. She's by some margin the most complete, logical option to start the class. Young lady's female in second, that one can give you a really neat look. She's long-fronted, big-bodied, and stout in terms of her foundation. We need to alter her in terms of her structure to see her get any higher today. I'd like to relax her in her shoulder blade, see her set down with a shot more authority and agility out of her hock joint. But big picture, that one's stout and good-looking. Young man's female, it's going to be third. We went ahead and moved her up because she offers a more dimensional package through the center part of her body. That's a stout-featured sound one that's just not quite as wild in terms of her look and balance as the cattle just ahead of her. Young man's going to round out the class. I like this one in terms of her squareness of build and her basic fundamentals. He does a nice job getting her put together and presented out here today. She's just a shot more conventional in terms of her look in relation to the three cattle just ahead of her. I'd like to open her up through her heart and forerib, see her come with a shot more there to the midsection of her body.
Placing first in Class 40, Brooklyn Price. Second, Cabry Killenbrink. Third, Anthony Mizrano. And fourth, Coleman Smith. We're ready for Class 41. We have 2 entries. Heifers born in January and February of 2024. We need those entries from Kylie Lance from Coleman and Vivian Lou Thompson from Pike.
Really nice single entry out here, one that comes battle that could handle a ton of competition out here. Congratulations to this young lady on bringing out a really nice single entry.
Congratulations to Vivian Lou Thompson. We're now ready for Class 42. There are 2 entries in this class. Heifers born in November and December of 23. We need Clare County and Mary Elliott Martin from Lee County.
The surface in this class of Herefords, and she does so rather handily. Good structured, big bodied with some length of body and performance. It's just the kind of Hereford female that'll never put you out of business. Really nice way to start. Young lady's heifer that's going to be second mirrors our class winner in terms of performance, substance, and bulk. She's bold bodied and stout in terms of her feature. Her lines just don't quite lay in her with the same amount of quality and symmetry. At this stage in her maturity, I would like to just soften her up in terms of her flank ever so slightly. Really nice pair of Hereford females to come back out and represent this class in our final drive.
Recapping Class 42, our first place Hereford was Hunter Smith, and second was Mary Elliott Martin. Class 43 is coming in the ring now. We have 3 entries, heifers born in the fall of 23, September and October. We have Brooklyn Price from Lee County, Silas Galat from Lee County, and Harper Starnes from DeKalb.
This one that wins the class is an absolute hammer. Congratulations, young lady. That's a really nice one. You can head on out. Young lady that's going to be second versus the third hole, because she's the bolder bodied option that has more substance when you study her at her foundation. She's more opened up in terms of her forerib and transitions better back through her midrib and flank. This young man that has the hedge in these buzzsaw classes, but he brings really nice cattle to town. This heifer of his is similar to the one that he was third in the first class with. She's got a nice outline, a great look and presence about her. I'd like to see her come with a shot more horsepower in terms of her forerib, soften her up in terms of her body shape, and just open her up at her pin set. Nice trio of cattle, exciting one to win.
Placing first in Class 43, Harper Starnes. Second, Brooklyn Price. And third, Silas Galat. Ready for Class 44, we have 2 entries. Heifers born in May and June of 2023. We need those entries from Riley Lance of Coleman County and Brooklyn Price of Lee County.
Nice Hereford female, long-bodied, long square-hipped, and fresh in terms of her condition. This one's got a sound, functional running gear, maybe not quite as expansive in terms of her rib and wild in terms of her look as some of the other cattle we've seen today, but I really like the kind of cattle that this one's. Congratulations, young lady. I think she could sure stand some competition.
Congratulations to Brooklyn Price. Class of Hereford heifers for today comes to us in class March of 2023, Mary Elliott Martin.